So, Lara, you grew from unknown to LinkedIn's fastest growing female creator. I think you're at over 300,000 followers now. You've
Yeah.
basically grown quicker than 99.99% of people on LinkedIn. What would you say is the single pivotal decision that made the biggest difference in trajectory?
I always say this is not just because you're here, but honestly, meeting you. I think that at the time when we started, we were like so obsessed with the platform and having you, people like Yasmin Alec, Luke Matthews in my little ecosystem allowed me to want to push harder because like we were so obsessed with the platform. So it was obsession and then reverse engineering, which I stole from you because you already had that from SEO. Then seeing you do it with content, I also then did it. And then the baby fast iteration of Clio, obviously, your business came about. And I think it was all these three things that really made it happen. It wasn't luck. It was just like relentless action, having a really good community and network of friends, and then the right tool, not to just plug Clio right away, but literally.
Nice. And do you remember the day you decided to post? Like, what was going through your head?
It was like a random Sunday in the middle of May. It was like just about to be my mum's birthday or something. And I was like, I need to do this. I need to just get going. I had seen similar posts that I had written go viral, like you and I. One common trait that you and I have was that we didn't just go onto LinkedIn and post it. We researched very deeply as to see what is actually working. So our first piece of content wasn't lame because we both know that if it had been lame, in bad, we wouldn't have come back. So we put all of our eggs into like one basket for like a few months. You did like 3 months, I did one. And I was like, okay, this post goes viral, this image and this posting, this combination happens. So I'm gonna do that. And then I didn't have anything to talk about because like the posts were like, oh, we just raised X amount of money. And I was like, people can raise money. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do an introduction post about what I'm doing and hopefully someone relates. And it was like now or never. Like I have nothing else to do. I want to try this out. Let's see.
Yeah, pro tip I think there is the introductory post. If you've never posted on LinkedIn before, you've got to enter the LinkedIn ring with a bang, really. What do you think makes a good introduction post?
It's honestly a combination of you mentioning LinkedIn in the first two lines as some sort of like humility of like, I haven't posted in X years. I've been active on the platform for so long. I'm really scared or I'm really excited. I'm mentioning like, now I'm going to post on LinkedIn for the first time in like a really long time. And here's some things about me because it combines the emotional cycle that every single person on LinkedIn goes through every single day. Like, I don't know what to post. I'm scared. I'm new. Even if I'm not new, I haven't posted in a while. So it is us like really tapping into just consciousness. It's not just the framework, it's like the belief that people have, and we break it down by sharing our own expertise, which is why storytelling ultimately is very powerful. And also the photo, you used a photo of your laptop in a cafe or something. I used a photo of myself at a cafe. So there's like a common trait of like you just looking like a beginner or like looking like you're not pro. It's not, if I had done it with a photo on stage, I don't think it would have worked because you're like, the post is meant to be like humble beginnings rather than like, look at me, look at me, look at me. It's like, don't look at me, but look at me.
Yeah, I think those introductory posts are very resonating with a lot of people on LinkedIn because so many people want to post on LinkedIn, but they're afraid and they feel like imposters. If they are struggling with imposter syndrome, I think we've talked about it in the past. I definitely felt it at the start. How do you suggest people overcome imposter syndrome or avoid it?
I was thinking about this yesterday. For the last week, I've had imposter syndrome like crazy. Like yesterday afternoon, I was really tired. I've come back from like 3 back-to-back conferences, flew back home for meetings, etc. And there was this voice like, you can't do it. You're lame. You're a loser. And it was like so loud. Just do it anyway. Like, just do it anyway. That is 3 words. Just do it forwards. Just do it anyway. Like, it's just, if you don't do it, you'll prove the imposter syndrome right. And you're going to stay in that loop. It is not a hack. There's nothing that successful people do to prevent it. It is more so like, I have this voice in my head. I can choose to listen to it or I choose to like ignore it. And when you ignore it, you become a lot more resilient to the next time it comes. Like the first few posts that I had, I was like, oh, yeah, my first post went viral, but the second, third, fourth, fifth one, they didn't. But I was like, I have proof that I've done it before. So I'm more likely to do it again because I know that I've done it before. So how fast can you get yourself to a micro win that indicates some sort of success, so you don't feel like the loser that you think that you are in your head, or like that you think that you're underprepared? Most people that have imposter syndrome just don't have proof of or evidence that they've done the thing that they want to do. So I always tell people, like, try and get that micro win as fast as you can. Otherwise, you're gonna end up in the cycle of like, I want to quit, I'm gonna start, I want to quit, I want to start. And the fastest you get out of it, the easier it is for anyone.
Yes, we see that all the time. We've adopted the same thing inside of Clio, right? We have our onboarding calls one-to-one or in a group setting. We have our strategy calls as well. And if you're new to LinkedIn as a whole, our first thing that we do is create one viral post or potential viral post and one in a different process. And that is the first 30 minutes of talking to us. And we do this based on our own knowledge of what viral content looks like. And it's to get that immediate results from just posting on LinkedIn, because it's a scary thing. I remember going through it myself. Nice. Okay. Well, I want to know a little bit more about your frameworks. You've obviously created the Slay framework. I'd love for you to let me know what it is and why do you think we need a new framework?
Well, this Slay framework came by accident. I'd become really good at writing stories, and one of our friends, Talon, was like, "How do you write such good stories without looking like you're flexing?" And then we called it the art of the humble flex. And I was like, "Yeah, so basically, you start with a story, lead with a lesson, then like give some actionable tips, and like end with a you." And he's like, "Lara, it literally says slay," and I'm like, "Oh yeah." And then at the time, I was like saying slay already quite a lot because I'm Gen Z girl, and it just happened. But it happened because I was building this thing that I was like, okay, here's how I do a really good story without overcomplicating or like making it so overly complex. The reason why people fail at storytelling, I think, is they give too much context or like they open too many loops. And it's like, if I had started saying, I just got featured in Forbes and I made my parents proud. And growing up all my life, like my parents rooted for me, blah, blah, and then my dog died and then I couldn't make it and I was 15, I moved. That's just too much context for someone that doesn't know you. So like when you put it into a framework where like you're limited to 2 lines or 3 maximum of like story, then you immediately hit them with a lesson, then that makes the story valuable to someone. I was at a podcast yesterday and I was like, you don't need to be the loudest, you need to be the most useful. And so how do you turn a story of yours into a useful asset for someone else? You give them value as fast as they can. If we think about it in terms of like YouTube content and TikToks, etc., which you and I kind of grew up watching anyway, is like, how fast is the value delivery in the video within the first minute at least, or the first 3 seconds? Because people, like, we're competing with not just our competitors and not just all the creators, but like everything on social media. We're competing with Instagram, YouTube, Duolingo, new thing, like the app, etc. So like, how do we make ourselves the most interesting thing to see then and right then and there? Like, how do we capture attention? By giving someone immediate value. So if I go like, I got 100 rejections and then I started posting on LinkedIn and it changed my entire life because I did this one thing, and then I tell him the one thing that is like, I created post every single day for like 5 days using this framework, then they're more likely to stay because I hooked them with the story and then I re-hooked them with the lesson and then I gave them actionable advice so they can implement it instead of feeling like, oh, this is more fluff. Because what you and I also saw is that LinkedIn was filled with fluff. In your SEO space, you were seeing like so many paragraphs, articles that no one was reading, and you were like, there must be a simpler way to explain this. And then you started creating your own frameworks that were like super concise and direct, and as a result, I also did the same thing with marketing. So that is why the Slay framework happened. That's why it's even inside of Clio, because we've seen the power of it. Even with Cam, one of his viral posts was using the Slay framework, which is our OCTO for Clio, etc. So we've seen the proof. It's not just working for me, it works for so many people.
Yeah, I love it. And we've actually loved it that much that we've embedded it into Clio itself. So it's one of the writing styles you can choose when you're writing posts. One of my favorite quotes from you, Lara, is be specific enough to show authority, but generic enough to reach more people. How do you actually balance that when you're writing a post?
I'm a Jake Ward fan. So I think about it in terms of SEO a lot, just because I spent so much time with you. And it's like total addressable market. What does a total addressable market want in a specific niche? They want broad, generic stuff, but then they stay for the specificness of what you're saying. So if I say like, this is the best productivity piece of advice that you hear today as an entrepreneur. Productivity advice is very generic. Entrepreneur advice is a little bit more niche, but still a big TAM, because a lot of people are entrepreneurs, or they want to be an entrepreneur, or they just want to see what entrepreneurs would think like. And then I go like, use the winning effect for psychology and bringing people into your network. Okay, that's the niche part. But then being generic enough allows me to reach that TAM that a lot of people aren't hitting because they're too concerned of hitting their ICP. And then the people that are consistently creating content for their ICP, they're not getting more reach because they're stuck in that niche on purpose because they think that is the right thing to do. Everybody's obsessed with having their ICP following them. But you and I have proven that doing that is the wrong way to get more reach, because ultimately the more people you reach, the more people are coming to your funnel, the more people are going to come to the bottom of it. So genericism is good as long as the entire post isn't generic. Like the first line and the last line should be generic, because you start with a generic thing and then you get them interested, and then you close with that generic like platitude to make them feel good. Because what I've noticed is that people will read the hook, then they'll like it, they'll read the whole thing, they get educated, and the last thing is the last thing they remember. So it's almost like a movie, like a closing note of like, oh, they got married, or like, oh, like nice ending or whatever. We want to give them that feeling because that makes them feel entertained. A lot of the content pillars, like the marketers will say, is like you need to storytell, entertain, and educate. The entertainment part on LinkedIn doesn't really exist because we're not entertainers. We're not content creators that are creating viral reels. You can still entertain a professional by giving them a feel-good quote that is like, just do it. Try this for the next 6 months and see how much your life will change. Or like for you, it'd be like your typical one is like, don't overcomplicate it. That single line, it's entertaining enough for someone to be like, oh yeah, this was good.
Nice. And on the entertainment side, you've said in the past that you got to treat LinkedIn as a text first platform. Do you still believe that, or has video got its place now with, the LinkedIn has tried to pump it? It's like, what is your feeling on video right now?
I think video has its place for the people that do video well. If you were like, Lara, can I do video? I'll be like, no, Jake, you shouldn't do it. It's a waste of your time because you are not a video native person. Even getting you in these podcasts is like, wow, he's doing it. But if you told me like, Lara, you should do a video a week, and I'm like, okay, well, I already have the setup, I have the editing team, I can definitely do that because I like doing video. But it is important, and this is what I'm writing like a small thesis on this, and like content creator fit. So like, what content fits your form of like creating as a founder or as an entrepreneur? If video doesn't fit in that, then you shouldn't be doing it. People will say like video is the next big thing. Yeah, it'll be the next big thing for people that do create video, not the next big thing for everyone. Same with text only content. Like text only content would be like the next big thing for someone that is good. Like the Netflix CEO, for example, he has come to the platform and he's only doing text only content. It's going viral and that works for him. And so someone will see that and it's like, oh, text only content works. And I'm like, no. Text only content works for him and people like him that have spent years kind of like distilling their lessons, and then they can write about them in a very concise and direct way. But if you don't know the fundamentals of writing, then you can't do that because your text only content will look like either slop, fluff, or a paragraph that no one's going to read. So video content is fine. LinkedIn is pushing it, then not, then pushing it again. Now like they're literally contacting a lot of like very big creators on like Instagram and YouTube telling them to post more video. But I feel that it's just not the best move. It's the best move for positioning and authority and potentially monetization. But as a growth hack, I don't agree.
I like it. And related to that, so you've said that LinkedIn have been pushing video, they should tweak the algorithm potentially. And then there's obviously the big Brew 360 algorithm change that's happened now. I know you've done a whole video about it, so you don't have to go into lots of detail, but have you changed the way you view LinkedIn or give advice to people based on the algorithm changes?
I have it here.
No.
I studied this. Yeah, so have I changed my mind on it? Or like, what was your question?
Yeah, have you changed your approach since the algo changes?
Yes and no. So like something that I really like about these things is that they prove me right every single time. The fundamental things that came out from that study, you and I have already really been practicing for like the last 3 years. Like the main thing that I got out of it is like your profile needs to be optimized. We've been saying this for like the last 3 years. You stayed in the SEO niche. I stayed in the personal branding entrepreneurship niche. And so now this paper comes that's so surprising and novel that, oh, apparently your profile needs to say exactly what you do and who you help and shouldn't have like 20 million things. We've been doing that for the last 3 to 4 years. So it didn't surprise me. It just validated that we've known what we should have done this entire time. Like you have 4 businesses, right? 5, 4, 5, 10, 20. And so you still focus on SEO because you know that that is your domain expertise. And so you being a domain expert has more value and weight to you than being a serial founder on like AI, SEO, marketing, content, LinkedIn, because you know that your content won't perform as well. So do I. Like, I'm an investor, have all of these businesses, but I only talk about the most relevant thing to like my TAM, which is marketing, entrepreneurship, and LinkedIn personal branding. But I wouldn't be talking about like, here's the best ways to stop being an angel investor, because that doesn't make sense for my niche or my positioning or my brand. If I wanted to start doing that, I would have to go and reposition my entire profile. So the headline, the banner, the about section says that. So I have more chances at being seen. But in reality, the easiest path, like we've seen, is focusing on one niche. Because when you dominate that one niche, you have extended returns on your content. And like, you can talk about this as well. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask you a follow-up question to it, because it's something I've had a challenge with, right? Because I am doing multiple things now and I'm still only talking about SEO. And it's kind of tempting to become, more like a marketing or like a thought leader or whatever it is. I've wanted to do it, but then not wanted to do it. I like just talking about SEO. I'm a bit of a nerd like that. So at what point do you think it actually makes sense to, I guess, broaden out your niche, if ever?
I did this. So there was a point in time where, again, you and I were sat in London like 3 years ago, and you were like, what even is ghostwriting, Lara? And I'm like, actually, I don't know. Because I had like LinkedIn ghostwriting in my profile. Then I went personal branding, which had a bigger TAM at the time. And then I was still speaking about copywriting, essentials writing, LinkedIn tips. But then it gave me a bigger like label and a bigger umbrella to tap into to acquire more clients that essentially needed the same thing, but in a different way, because ghostwriting was too niche. Like, a lot of people at the time, like this is 3 years ago, didn't know what ghostwriting was, but they did know that they needed a personal brand. And I'm like, oh yeah, so we built your personal brand using ghostwriting. And so that was like the sub pillar within it, not the main thing. So that made sense for me when I wanted to reach more people, when I like realized that I had already captured the majority of that market that understood ghostwriting. And so I went further. And then my latest like rebrand was saying entrepreneur building businesses online. And that was more so because I wanted more opportunities in the entrepreneurship space rather than being another LinkedIn personal brand person, which you and I have seen has become incredibly saturated, especially on LinkedIn. Everybody today is a LinkedIn personal branding expert. And I'm like, I think I'm a little bit more beyond that because I've had more experience. And that was also very important. I didn't do it before I had my stack of clients and social proof, because then it wouldn't really make sense. Like saying building businesses, I only had one business. Then there's no businesses, but now I have 3 or 4. So that didn't make sense. And then I said investor, entrepreneur, creator, speaker, etc. So then the algorithm could then put me in front of more people that wanted to hire me as a speaker or book me as a keynote, etc. So it makes sense. Something that is important is like understanding that your brand will evolve over time, especially if you want it to. So like, don't just try and be everything all at once. Master one thing, then like upgrade slightly, and then go up and up and up as soon as you think that you have enough proof to validate that claim. Otherwise, again, I see a lot of personal brand experts saying like, oh, building a $1 million personal brand, and they haven't even made their first 10K. So it is essentially like, it doesn't make sense, especially from someone that already has a lot of skepticism coming into a profile. So like, you need to make it skepticism proof. You need to make sure that your claim has also backing. So the person reading it is like, okay, yeah, they're legit or not.
I think one of the best rebrands I've seen at a large scale is Justin Welsh, one of the OG LinkedIn people. He was just a LinkedIn guy, right? That's where he sold his first courses. And then he pivoted pretty hard to the solopreneur lifestyle type of content. And I think that was very smart for one reason, because, fun facts, most people on LinkedIn are these solopreneur, solo experts, consultants, advisors. So he's speaking to his ICP straight away and showing them that it's possible. And the reason he can do that is because he made it possible himself. He, sold probably hundreds of thousands of courses and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, he's one to study if you are at that point.
Fun fact, Jake took his course as well at the
I
start.
did right at the start. I did. I took, oh God, if I remember which one it was, it's so many years ago. But yeah, I feel like everyone in this space took that one.
I didn't, but I think I learned it through you. So shout out, Justin.
Yeah, shout out Justin. Great guy as well. Okay, in the past you've said that you don't believe that you need to post 7 times a week. And I always get this question, how many times a week should I post? So let's answer it once and for all. What do you think is the minimum viable posting cadence to still see results?
I think 4. 4 is optimal. I always tell people don't do 7, do 4. 4 is just about enough to have that volume in your LinkedIn, but it's not too much where you are consistently posting just to post. You and I have like, I think almost a rule of thumb where it's like we want post check content. Like it's just not about posting to post. It's about posting outstanding content at every single time. And if the post isn't outstanding, then we won't post it. I don't know how many drafts do you have of content that you wanted to write, but then you didn't do because it didn't feel right. And I think that's what makes a good creator and an entrepreneur, one that doesn't just post because they have this criteria to post, but one that posts because they have something relevant and interesting to say. And also it has been written in a formatted, outstanding way. So 4 is just enough to like, you only have 4 posts a week to write in an outstanding manner where you're focusing on the hook, the body, etc. And it can take people, at the very start, it took us 1 hour, 2 hours to write a single LinkedIn post. And I am very aware of that because writing is a skill and it takes a lot of time. So me knowing that most beginners are going to struggle writing 1 post, I'm not going to force them to do 7. I'm going to try and make them just do 4. And then 4, like at least 3 educational ones and 1 storytelling one. And so when you master the educational ones through volume, by the time you wrote your 20th educational post, you already kind of know what works for you, like in your style. And then that becomes easy. And then it's the storytelling where most people struggle, i.e. you, because a lot of people just don't like to talk about themselves, and that's completely fine. But I think 1 storytelling post every single week, or for you once in a blue moon, is essential to just bring people back onto like what you're up to. Your remote work posts work because of that. Like people are kind of excited to see what Jake's up to sometimes.
Yeah, I always say I should do more of those, but I probably do 1 a year. So look out for that 1 post. Yeah, we've tried. And I don't think people know this actually, but my mum helps me with LinkedIn. She has done from the very, very start. Like she's tried to get me to do more storytelling posts, and we've tried to write them, and it just feels to me. So if it does to you, that's totally normal, I think. Like you can focus on other types of content.
I always use you and me as like complete contrast creators that have had a very similar result. So anyone watching this, like you don't have to do stories if you don't feel like it. You can just like over index on education. That to you was better and easier than doing stories, right?
Oh yes, by far.
Yeah, I think people think that storytelling is easier because it's about you. You love SEO so much that you rather just speak about it all the time. That I find it super interesting because like you're like always in the news, like you're always looking at what the SEO space is doing. I'm not looking at the latest like algorithm hack unless like I'm forced to do it, but you love it.
It's true. X, for example, like why don't you just post what you do on LinkedIn onto X? Why wouldn't that work?
I don't know. I think you do it a little bit, or like I think you do post every single post that you post on X.
One thing I've recently found, this is crazy by the way, is when I do straight LinkedIn posts, so the way I format LinkedIn posts, it'll be like some data point, let's say, and I've got a visual to show that data point. So it'll be like a pie chart or a bar chart or something like that. And then the first part will be to hook people in, and then the rest of it will kind of be to educate and then be insightful and all that sort of stuff. If I directly post that onto X, it doesn't do very well because it's going to be a long post, which means people have to click to see more. I don't think people are used to that on X yet. But one thing I've done recently, and you can check it out on my Twitter now, is I posted my Monday's post exactly the same as LinkedIn, and it had like 5 likes in 2 or 3 hours, and most of them were just us like supporting each other. But one thing I did is I just posted the visual and like the attention grabbing thing, and then quote reposted it with my like opinionated insight. And that 1-2 approach, yeah, exactly that 1-2 approach, it got like a total like over 200 likes and like 20,000 impressions or something. But it just shows like the way things happen on X is very different to LinkedIn. I use Clio for both, honestly. The way I present it in the platform, it differs quite a lot.
Yeah, I love you on X, to be fair, and I love me on X. The reason why I don't do that is I want to do platforms well, and this is something you do as well. Like I already have 5: YouTube, LinkedIn, X, newsletter, and TikTok. And so I'm like, I can only do so much. I know TikTok as well. So I love Twitter for shit posting and more so people behind the scenes actually seeing who I am. And I think that's actually allowed me to create better networking connections, and every single platform that I have has a different personality, as you know. So like LinkedIn is very professional. On X I am just me, a little bit more unhinged. On Instagram I don't even know at this point. And on newsletter I'm like long form educational Lara with a little bit of story. And with X like you said, I am very aware that I will have to change the hook of my LinkedIn post. And then that's like just added workflow to me that I know myself I will get very, very like intense in, and I'm not ready for that yet. But every day I want to quit my job just to post on X.
It sounds like you've got multiple personalities.
I think
Each
this is
social
not
media.
new news. This is
Okay.
not new news.
But so your LinkedIn strategy doesn't feed into other channels, would you say? I guess for YouTube videos it kind of does because you try and push people to there.
Yeah, they're kind of siloed. So like I do what you do on X on YouTube and then newsletter. So like I'll write a LinkedIn post, and then that LinkedIn post then becomes a newsletter, and then that newsletter article then becomes the bones of the script of my YouTube video. It should work better, but it's kind of messy still. I don't believe in like this whole idea of repurposing because it doesn't really work. I know that Danko, for example, has like this very dialed repurposing system where he writes a long form video, then a long form newsletter, then that long form newsletter literally becomes his YouTube script. But for me personally, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work like that, and I can't then take fragments of every single part of the newsletter and turn it into a LinkedIn post. That also doesn't work because he speaks about very broad content, and I think that works in his favor because then like the broad content can perform better naturally, again because of the TAM. But if we're talking about LinkedIn growth or like entrepreneurship in like an extent of like how to grow your funnel, etc., it can't work like that. And I found that I've tried it didn't work. So big newsletter piece, either inspired by a viral LinkedIn hook that I wrote 3 months ago, and I'm like, okay, this is the hook that I'm gonna use. And then there's like the bones again. It's not the main structure. I write the long form newsletter, and then I take the parts of like, let's say I wrote an insane breakdown of a framework, then I'm gonna add that part of the framework onto the YouTube video. But then the YouTube video then I need to think about the A/B testing of the titles, like 3 different ones, and I can't just use the hook of a LinkedIn post. So they all work together to make things slightly faster, but it's not just like, oh, take this, this, and that, and then outcome multiplied. No, it's like just 20% of my process.
Love it. Love it. I think it was in your content code course. You say that 1,000 engaged or active followers can build a 6-figure business. What stops most people at this stage from monetizing and becoming a 6-figure business?
How many followers did you have when you got your first client?
Well, I got to 5,000 in that first month, and I generated 30 qualified leads in that first month.
Yeah, so like, and you had what, 5,000 followers?
Well, yeah, I guess the first lead will probably be less than that, right?
Yeah, so it is not about the followers, it's about how well your funnel is. So like how well your funnel is made. So by the time you went on the LinkedIn, you already were a freelancer. So you had some context on as to how to lead a sales call, right? Or at least you had like a landing page or a Calendly link. And so a lot of people fail at understanding sort of the sequence that a client will follow and how to convert them. So for your first LinkedIn post, I think you had either in the CTA, like book a call with us or something, book a call with me. A lot of people don't. They like avoid it because the big creators avoid it because they don't do it. And so they're following what big creators are doing. At the time, they would follow what Justin Welsh would do and be like, oh, join 1,000 entrepreneurs in this newsletter. And I'm like, you don't have a newsletter. You don't have 1,000 followers in your newsletter. You can't convert them because you also don't understand newsletter flows. He did at the time because he'd been playing the game for like 3 years by then. For us, it was just like good piece of content, book a call here, and straight to it. And then over time, you and I evolved to the point that we don't have that anymore because we don't need to. But I think that's the problem with copy and big creators is that they are playing at a level that you're not at yet. And so following their game plan doesn't work because let's say like you're training for a marathon and you're trying to copy the person that has the best shoes, the Garmin watch, all of the electrolytes, all of these things, and you haven't even ran 5K before. So it just doesn't really add up. So the best way for any person to get their first clients is to actually understand how their funnel works. And if the content is actually solving a strong enough problem, so one person actually wants to just chat to you, and then after that, understanding how to run a sales call, which is also hard.
So keep the funnel super simple to begin with, then you can add some layers of complexity if you need to.
Yours was like a Calendly link, right? Didn't just that.
Yeah, it actually still is.
Wait, really? You don't have like a super mega complex funnel?
No, not at all. Like contact is, you see my post, you click book appointment, I think it is under my name, and then you have a call. That's it.
Do you guys not get shiny object syndrome, but after seeing like many funnels of like 3-step funnel, book a close, like VSL, blah, 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 blah.
My whole thing is just keep everything as simple as possible. So, the fact that you can change your life and your business with one single post a day is so simple and so easy to do. You just got to learn how to do it right. And then you think about conversion, it's like, well, what would I want to do? If I saw a post that solved my problem, click one button and then you've booked a call with that person. Like, I just think keep it simple. If you have multiple products and lots of steps in the funnel, like I think you can make that work as well. But my offer's super simple. Like, we're just an SEO agency. So it's like, just book a call with us and we'll see if we're a good fit.
For contact, you still have just one main service, or is it like many different tiers?
Yeah, well, we have a couple of packages, but we have to diagnose what they actually need on a discovery call and then pitch them the thing that we believe is right for them. So yeah, maybe we'll be low ticket offers in the future and then my funnel might change. But right now and for the last 3 years, it's just been a simple call link.
So like on the call, you then diagnose them and then you give them the best package for them. So for you guys, it's been important to just have a good salesperson.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And that is Tyler now.
Tyler Dixon, shout out. Yeah.
Fun fact, Jake made him go viral like 3 times on LinkedIn and then Tyler kind of just disappeared. But and we did it with Cleo.
Yeah, I forget that. He's had a few, yeah. When he first started, I think his first post ever got 1 million views, and I've never had 1 million views. To over 20,000 likes. I've never had 20,000 likes. So I don't know how that happened, but yeah, he decided not to carry on. So on conversion and on virality, on TAM type of content, can you just fire some content formats that people should be focusing on in 2026?
Content formats, so what, frameworks or styles, etc.?
Yeah, storytelling, then we have other things. Like, how do you think about content formats?
Yeah, so I actually save a lot of them on my Clio. Let me share my screen because it's gonna be like super visual. So I've been using Clio to save content formats that I see performing well. So I have a lot of mine because I just like writing like I do. So this, for example, an educational one. So this is how I turn 0 into a 300K startup in under 4 months organically. So this is educational, and I am positioning the education piece with context. And I've been doing this for the last 3 years as well, where you and I have noticed that information has just become commoditized. So how do we uncommoditize it, or how do we make it slightly novel, even if we are aware that we are providing the same information? We add context and we add personality. So even if I want to storytell, I'm going to do it in a very logical, tangible way. So the reader doesn't have, again, any fears that I'm just saying things just to say them. They can see the visual value of like what's actually happened. And then I tell them like the strategy. So this is essentially following the Slate framework too. So story, lesson, actionable piece of advice, all the way here. And then like join my 3-day live, whatever. And then similar to this, like if I wanted to storytell in a very TAM way, then I'm like, okay, in my TAM, what is most likely to perform? Talking about female entrepreneurs, I am still staying in my niche of entrepreneurship, but I'm tapping into a broad market of people that want to understand how to do it. And then I like give like a platitude like style post. So those are the main 2 that I will always hone in on, like storytelling that is very brief and broad, but still remaining within my niche, and very much structured educational content that is long, but it feels so long and educational that someone will screenshot it, save it, or send it to a friend, and they'll come back and be like, yeah, she knows what she's talking about. And something that a lot of people ignore is that they'll take this, let's say, they'll put it onto an AI, maybe they'll even use Clio, but then they forget about the most important thing, and that's also the visual. And you and I have done this, like, I don't remember the last time you did a text only post, but the reason why is because you and I have noticed that when you just simply add a good image, whether it's a photo of you or an infographic, the returns are higher because it works as a second hook. So that's what I do. And then I save a lot of them, like this one that did very well, and it was also written with Clio. I've been burnt out for 5 years. So again, big TAM, burnout, 5 years. And then in May, I hit a breaking point. So understanding how this is positioned, like Tyler could have been, I've been struggling with burnout, here's how to fix it. But instead, Tyler added context and kind of like numbers to make it tangible to the reader that it is something that just happened, and then that it's happening and how he's fixing it actively, because that makes the reader feel more entertained rather than, again, reading a blog post or like a how to fix my burnout from ChatGPT. There's a lot more specific. Then again, this post as well that I am intended to do at some point. Email has been dying since the 90s, and then it has a really nice infographic, which I don't know, Jake, do you recognize this?
Yeah, this is my SEO is dead post. Again, like we try and get people their viral posts as quickly as possible in Clio, and that's there we go. That's normally the way it's done.
This and these are the same in completely different niches, but we have validated templates. And the thing that people do wrong with templates is like they'll probably just copy this and then they'll miss the image. But like the reason why Tyler's did so well is because he literally copied every single element and just changed the one variable so we could actually test if that format worked. And it did actually have like 3 clients inside of my program who literally copied this as well, and they had an outlier return. And this a piece of advice that I'm saying a lot more because I thought it was obvious, but it's really not. If you're going to copy a creator, just copy the whole thing and replace a single variable, which is the context. And then everything else, if it's done right and is at the same style level, it should work because you're only changing one single variable instead of 3. But obviously don't copy and paste. Change obviously what you need so it doesn't look like copy pasted. But in essence, that's why templates do work very well.
Indeed. Really, this is reverse engineering. This is what it all comes back to. We've seen posts that perform well for other creators. We do the exact same thing just for our topic, and that is a proven format and it works very well.
Yeah, and I think with templates, like you and I started with templates as well, but then ultimately we then developed our own writing style, and people are against templates a lot, and I understand why, because it's like, oh, LinkedIn has become very generic, everybody's writing the same thing. But if you think about a beginner who has nothing and then just has a simple template with the exact thing that they should say, they just need to replace a word and then fill in the blanks. I think that is a lot better to do and encourage people to do than not post at all, because that gives someone more confidence to start posting instead of like having to figure out everything from scratch. I think that is just a wrong tactic because you're essentially making it harder for yourself and thinking that you have to learn every single copywriting fundamental, and it's a waste of time because most people aren't copywriters. Most people don't have time to create content. Most people just want to get a result immediately, and ultimately they will fall in love with writing. Like you love writing, I love writing, but we love writing as a result of seeing have outlier returns by using a single template, and then we fell in love with it, not the other way around.
Exactly. You almost find your own style and voice through using templates and mimicking other creators, and eventually you get there yourself. I did that at the start as well. And one thing I love about Clio, we obviously have hundreds of templates and hundreds of swipes that people can access straight away, is that we actually coach you through like why this post works. We break down the hook, we break down everything, so it teaches people and it gets them to that point quicker where they understand why a post is viral and why they're doing certain things with AI. So that learning process is just like 10x speed, so it's pretty.
Yeah, I think that is like the feature that gets the most compliments today on Clio. I'm like, oh my god, but people love it because they get validation. When you write with ChatGPT or Claude or anything, it doesn't give you the context as to why this hook was chosen or the psychology behind it, but Clio breaks it down because it's like trained on your brain and my brain.
Exactly. So you do a lot of things, Lara. Like you've got cohorts, you've got courses, coaching, speaking, investing, Clio, other things probably on the go. When do you actually write, and how do you find the time to do that with everything else?
Yeah, very different to you because you batch your content, no? Type. I don't. I write on the day. So for me, I found that batching content was just not my style. I am very type B. Jake is very logical. I am very creative. Like when I'm missing that creative like instinct to write, I just feel like the post doesn't perform as well because my content is very story-led, very emotion-led. And so when I can't find the right words to explain something that is active or like present in my life, then the post just doesn't perform. Maybe that's a limiting belief. What I've done instead is like every single Sunday, I'll just sit down and think, okay, what are the 3 things that I want to educate on this week? And then what is the one winning story? So my one winning story this week was that I'm speaking at Cannes Festival. So like, I know that I can talk about that because it's a present thing. And then I know that a lot of people are talking about the algorithm. They're talking about like the new lead generation system that everybody wants in 2026. And I know a lot of people are struggling with imposter syndrome. But I know that because I'm seeing the market and I'm seeing the platform. And that's how I avoid generic content. Because again, I am in competition with every single personal branding guru talking about how to write the best hook in the planet. So how do I make this even better is by me understanding the platform, talking to a lot of customers, and then also showing what I'm doing actively, which has allowed me to build in public. And again, has built that cult-like community and following that I have because they're like almost following me for the education, but staying for me in my story and the journey. Like, what's she up to now? Like, what's she doing? Like, okay, we're seeing her build these frameworks. What are these frameworks frameworks leading her. And then like people that have followed me from like day one literally say that they've loved seeing the evolution through the stories. And if I planned every single post within a day, I don't think I would have had the same impact, because I wouldn't be able to talk about as many things as I do every single time. So I keep it at 4 posts a week, maybe 5 or 6, depending if I'm like launching something or like I just have a lot more things to say. Or maybe like during the time that I wanted to get to 100K as fast as possible, I was posting twice a day for like 2 months because I wanted to like get there fast, but I burnt out. So like I wouldn't recommend. But yeah, so I plan on a Sunday. I have like the topics and like bullet points or like where I want to angle it at, and then I write on the day, which is psychotic, but that's fine.
Yeah, that's crazy. Sometimes I do that. So you don't choose what type of content you create based on the business you're trying to promote or the type of customer you're trying to get. You're much more like personal brand focused, right? Because mine is kind of the opposite.
It depends. Like, luckily for me, all of the businesses run on a launch model. So like it's, if I know I'm launching something, let's say in April, then I'm gonna focus 3 months on giving pure value and making myself the most useful person in the market and the most likable. So I'm like combining a lot of strong education, so like very big breakdowns like the one I showed on like how we built Clio, like literally telling them everything from like the webinar structures to how we build the MVP, etc. So they feel like I am the most trustworthy person and they can follow me, and then they know that I'm gonna give them the things that a lot of people aren't, because a lot of people don't know them, a lot of people keep it very, very high level, and a lot of people don't even try. So that is my differentiator. Then I do that and I rinse and repeat it for 3 months, and then when I know I'm launching something, I'm like, for 2 weeks, I'll make my content a lot more specific to my ICP. So instead of talking about Clio, if I'm launching like literally Academy again, or like I'm promoting it, I'll be speaking about the problems that that product actually fixes. So like writing, positioning, lead generation, LinkedIn. So, but then again, I'll be following the education and storytelling. So 3 posts of them will be educating on like why personal branding is essential, how to build a personal brand, and why the algorithm matters or like doesn't matter depending on my opinion that day. And then a story on like how LinkedIn changed my life, or like how I've spoken at 200 events over the last 2 years because of LinkedIn, and every single one of them came inbound. And then so I am tapping into different markets and different like problems that people have. And then that's for week 1. And then week 2, I'll be posting 5 to 6 posts a week, literally straight up selling, a lot of case studies, a lot of testimonials, a LinkedIn live, etc. So then I can kind of like compound and cash out on that goodwill that I built for 3 years. So that's like my usual strategy.
I got a scenario for you. So let's say someone has been posting consistently for 6 months, let's say, but they are not growing very well. What is the typical honest diagnosis you give these people? And what's the first thing you would tell them to change?
Consistency doesn't mean quality. And I think this is the main mistake a lot of people have and make, where they believe that because they're posting consistently, the post should work. And that is very entitled. And I have to say it like very straight up, because you're not entitled to anything on LinkedIn or any platform or anywhere. Most people are posting consistently bad content on LinkedIn. Just because you're posting every single day doesn't mean it's good. And so I make people reflect on like, what does your favorite creator content look like? And can you compare it with yours right now? And then they'll be like, okay, yeah, this is obvious. A lot of people are literally churning ChatGPT content for the sake of consistency, and there's where they fail. Or like they'll be using my frameworks and they'll like write exactly like me, but the photo will be an AI generated selfie that looks like an ad. And I'm like, babe, no, what are you doing? And again, this goes back to why I was saying earlier, if you're gonna copy something, copy it completely and just remove one variable. So like you have straight up data to compare and contrast. So if you're copying Jake's post on like SEO is dead, and instead of saying email is dead, you're saying, oh, over the last few years, I've been thinking about SEO dying and email marketing, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't work because you've changed the whole completely, but you think it's the same. And so that's what I'm saying to most people. Like, consistency doesn't equate to quality. Quality equals quality. The fastest way to get to quality is by using a template and then completely just removing that one variable, and then understanding how to then replicate it again and again and again on your own style over time. So that's why I think most people are failing, because they don't do it well enough. The quality isn't there, or because they don't even understand what they are trying to talk about. So you'll see this all the time. Like, a lot of people start talking about AI, then they'll start talking about SEO, then they'll start talking about ads, and then that's also very confusing, and it makes the person writing the content a lot less likely to understand their niche and how to articulate it. Being able to articulate a problem and a solution has been like fundamental to both of us and every single person that we've seen. Like if you cannot articulate how to solve a problem in less than 2 sentences, then you don't understand it well enough. And so you have to go back and write it as many times as you need until it's concise. Like you and I, again, when we were doing the carousels, we were consistently trimming down the lines because we were trying to keep the listicles like, what was it, formatted in like a vertical angle or like staircase. And it was frustrating, but that frustration led us to see how quickly could we get from point A to B in like 2 letters or 2 words. So yeah, that's why I think the very start of like a creation journey is very hard because you're learning how to write in a LinkedIn style. But then once you do it, everything becomes easier because you've like literally forced yourself to understand your niche better than anyone because you've had to write a single line that explains an essay's worth of information in just 1 sentence. And that's important.
Yeah, I think, all of it comes down to just quality over quantity. Stick to your niche, pick one, do it well. Yeah, great answer. So, Lara, you have quite a large female audience. I actually don't know what the breakdown is on LinkedIn, but I think Insta and other channels is probably more female orientated. But yeah, don't think I've ever asked you or talked to you about this, but how is it actually to be a creator who's female on LinkedIn?
There's a lot of crash outs, Jake, as you as my co-founder know. Mondays are for crash outs only. Like, how does that make you feel? I think we crash out a lot more, like it's a lot more verbalized. I think you guys crash out in an internal zen stoic way. I don't really read Marcus Aurelius anymore, or you guys do. So like I just crash out very loudly, and I think that's just part of my personality. How does it feel? Sometimes
That's what guys do,
it's
though. All we do is just read Marcus Aurelius. That's all we do.
I think obviously, and you're a carnivore diet, and like you have sun in the mornings. Obviously, you have a very strict protocol. I know this. I think sometimes it can get frustrating because there's a lot of things that girls have to do that guys don't. Like, especially as a video creator now, and I have to speak a lot, etc. Like, there are a lot of variables that you can wake up and go to this thing. I wake up, I have to do my hair, makeup, nails, lashes, etc. that make me a lot more presentable, outfit, etc. It's a lot of fatigue, and so that stresses me out. But so far, I think it's an advantage, especially in a very male-dominated industry. Like if you're a girl in any business route, you stand out like a sore thumb. And that can be a good thing and a bad thing. It depends on like how well you're prepared for the hate or people sort of underestimating you. But overall, it's been a net positive, and it's also been an advantage to me through LinkedIn. And I've just surrounded myself with people like you that never really cared. I want to ask you, like, how does it feel to have a female co-founder?
Yeah, crush outs is pretty accurate.
Anything
No,
else?
no, I don't know. I don't see gender as a
Yeah.
thing really. Like I just see you as a great creator, great marketer. You can drive attention, you can do other things, and like for me, gender doesn't really come into it.
What do you think is my biggest superpower as a co-founder?
I think for all females, it's definitely like the female intuition. I think there's a lot of that goes on. Obviously, my mum works with us as well, and she's got that in abundance. So that's the biggest superpower, I'd say.
Hell yeah. Cool.
Cool. Well, is there anything that I've missed? Anything you want to say before we head off?
I guess you should tell people why we chose to build Clio together.
I want to hear your perspective first.
No, I always tell this. Like, people are probably tired of me saying it. So you go.
I haven't heard it ever.
I've said it many times in many podcasts, and I'm sure people listening to this have heard me speak before.
Okay. Yeah, for me, we obviously grew. I think we were less than 10,000 followers when we met each other on LinkedIn. And we grew on the platform at the same time, at the same pace until you just completely destroyed me. And I think you have over 100,000 more followers now. So you killed it. And you've really nailed like the LinkedIn personal branding niche. And obviously I built Clio. You were literally one of the first users of the version 1 back in the day, a few 3 years ago. So we've been on this journey like the whole way together. It just made sense. Didn't make any sense not to, almost, to do Clio 2.0 and 3.0 and all the 0.0s that are coming in the future together. And I think it works very well. We bring very yin and yang things to the table, and we work well together. So yeah.
A question
That's
that
fine.
I have for you is like, if you have Clio and it's really good, why don't you use Clio to write your stories copying my templates and frameworks?
I've done it. It's not the storytelling process that's the issue. It's feeling comfortable with it. Like it's still talking about me. It still just feels icky to me.
So do you feel pressure to do stories or not anymore?
I did, but not anymore. No, I think I've found my footing as a creator. So it's like insight driven, opinion based on what I'm talking about, education, insights, announcements are very good. A little bit of building public as well. I keep it to focus on the ideas that I have and the businesses I have, less so, and what I'm doing, less so about me personally.
Is it because like you don't really care about being known for you, or you care about being known for your businesses, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've always said I actually just do content out of necessity. Even at the start, I enjoyed it. I got addicted to it. But when I look back now, I'm like, yeah, I only did it. I didn't have a social media. I didn't care for it.
Yeah.
I don't care to be famous. And I just did it purely for business purposes. So, like, why not just stick to that?
Yeah, I
Even
think
today,
anyone watching this, it's important to like know what the goal is. Like yours was driving leads to your business, and then it built more businesses that you now need to get leads for. But for other people, they want to be famous or they want to build authority or they want speaking engagements and podcasts. You don't want any of that. No.
hell no. Hell no. Just do it for your own. I think we talked about this in our interview, my interview. So feel free to watch that video as well. But just have a proper goal, a purpose of being on the platform and stick to that and do the things that you're comfortable with doing and don't do the uncomfortable types of posts or videos. You don't have to as a creator. It's all about your ideas, doing cool things, talking about it. So that would be my
The only time you'll see Jake Ward on video is if I force him. So he's gonna come to my YouTube channel and we're gonna break down viral content and we're gonna write a viral piece of content on the spot. So that's coming soon.
Hell yes. Hell yes.
All right.
Lara, you're incredible. And yeah, see you next time.
Go get Cleo.
Get it. Description.